All right, let's look at an example of selling right out of the open of the RTH. This would be initiative selling activity, and the date we're looking at is Monday, pre-market 7/14. We're looking at crude oil market, futures market, and trading starts on the Sunday beforehand. So that's what we're looking at. Just this little area here from 7/13. You can see it opened. We were below VWAP. We got some buying that came in right here where we started to climb and stay above VWAP. And you can see on the delta on the tape that we of course we started out at delta neutral and we held above it as the buying came in, and then this pullback right here, test lower, found some more buyer, and then we got this kind of rush of buying in this area here. Continued to made a new higher high. Continued to hold on this pullback above VWAP, which is again another sign of buying strength. However, we start to see some selling come in on the tape. The other thing we see too is on we see average ask volume start to decrease from the high, which was kind of around 336. And so this last bar right here is kind of the capitulatory blow off top where where buyers just basically they gave up. The other important thing to point out here on a bigger picture is from here we have a divergence. So price is diverging with ask volume. So ask volume is going down, price is still going up. So that's another indication that there's going to be a shift. And we get this little back and forth of on the tape of buying, selling, and then buying. Now the interesting thing is that we get this. This is a pretty good. It's a pretty good move in terms of the volume that comes in and the movement in price. However, right after that point, we get more selling coming in, and all of a sudden, there's some indecision. There's no buyers are nowhere to be seen. However, we do get this big price move in this bar right here, and on very little volume. So another kind of an anomaly. It's an indication of something's going to be changing soon. And as we go along, we continue to climb up. Ask volume is definitely lower than where it was at before. We kind of do this broadening pattern here, and right as we get into what are we at 814, we get a test higher, and then all of a sudden it just flushes down. And again, the odd thing is this is not on high volume. So again, we're in this area of indecision. But where we can kind of determine if we wanted to think about getting in this pre-market area is you could get in right here at the DVA +1 would be because it was a pullback up to it, and basically we're going to accept back in. Since we're just kind of looking at trading it from the RTH open, as we go through here, we get a little bit more indecision and a little more flattening right here on delta, and then of course we get sellers that come in and we go delta negative. And at the open, this is where the initiative activity of the sellers really comes in. We're at VWAP at the open, and then we get this bar right here, and this is a big price change and a high amount of volume. So that's really a indication that sellers are aggressively auctioning price downwards. We get a little bit further of a dip down. Delta kind of, there's a little bit of buying here, probably from to get out of some of the shorts. We get a little bit of push up on this pullback here to negative 0.5 standard deviations, and this is where the ideal trade location would be. You get the pullback and then the failure, and this would be a pretty good low risk area, especially when you're not really seeing any kind of solid buying on the tape down here. And then we continue, Delta continues lower. Oops, come on. Delta continues lower down and remains negative, and then price, of course, continues further down. And the other thing I wanted to point out was Delta. It seems to be when Delta stays below, like 1,500, 2,000, tends to be, you could question if the move is real, especially from the point of view of the initial opening. So we get the buyers coming in, there's some buying, and we really only get up to, we're less than 1,000 at this point. And we've got some pretty good price movement. Delta's not very strong though, so we have to question the are we looking at initiative activity? Are we looking at strong buying? Or is this just kind of going along, doing a little bit of buying here, and then once we get to the open of RTH, that's when we see the initiative sellers come in. And really drive auction price down. And again, we get Delta gets down to around, looks like 1,600. So just something to bring up. But yeah, that's it.